It is an honor to be here today and to introduce Vice President Mike Pence. My name is Elisheva Desser, and I'm a senior at Loudoun County High School. I come from somewhat of a political family. My great-great-grandfather participated in the Zionist Congress in 1897, which set the stage for the modern state of Israel, and my father, after college, moved to Washington, D.C. to get in public policy. If ignoring politics in high school was a trend in the past, that approach became nearly impossible with the 2020 election. With the influence of social media, I watched politics become the foundation for people not to debate, but to hate. Everything became political. A black man dying in public custody was not just a human and civic tragedy, but became an issue of partisan politics. Events that would normally cause Americans of goodwill to rally together became explosive. I overheard some girls at lunch say that anyone who was a Republican deserved to die. At my part-time job, I shared less about my opinions and fear of being outcast, hate replacing debate. 2 days ago, I participated in a walkout at my school. It seems like our school board is more interested defending new and untested policies than caring about what should be a top priority, the safety of my fellow students. 2 girls were violated by a boy who took advantage of new transgender bathroom policies. It seems like the school board lied about its knowledge of the first incident because it didn't fit their narrative. This is the effect of the politicized culture we live in right now, but thankfully, there are some people who are willing to rise above it. One of the things I admire about Vice President Pence is that he is not afraid to speak his mind about what he believes. He has been fearless about Israel. He has been unwavering in his support for Jewish homeland, something that was only a distant dream to my relatives, many of whom suffered through the Holocaust, to realize. His faith in the God of the Holy Bible, his support for all life, including the yet-to-be-born, and whether popular or not, his courage to always uphold the Constitution. With all that is going on, both nationally and locally, there is no better time to hear from this inspirational leader. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 48th Vice President, Mike Pence.
Well, thank you very much, and hello, Virginia. I want to thank Ellie and all of those who spoke before for their eloquent words. It's a privilege to be with each and every one of you. And I'm honored to be here at Patrick Henry College, one of the premier Christian colleges in the United States of America. It's great to be here with Jack Hay and the entire team at Patrick Henry, but also it's a special privilege to be here with parents, students across Northern Virginia on a campus that believes in educational freedom. And it's good to be in Loudoun County. The eyes of the nation are on Loudoun County, Virginia. And it's amazing to think in recent weeks, Loudoun County has become the epicenter of a powerful movement that's spreading all across this country. A movement of concerned parents and patriotic citizens demanding an end to curriculums that divide our nation and accountability for educational bureaucrats who put political correctness ahead of the interest of our kids. Thank you, Loudoun County. It's really why I came here today. To all those parents and students, patriotic Americans, here and looking on, I came here today to simply say from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of millions of people across this country, thank you. Thank you for your courage. You have reminded America that these schools are ours and public education belongs to the American public. But I come before you today not so much as a former vice president or a former governor. stand before you today as a parent, as a new grandparent. And most especially, I come before you today as the proud husband of an elementary school teacher who spent 30 years in a classroom of an elementary school, including many years right here in Virginia, my wonderful wife, Karen Pence. And we wanted to be here today to join in the cause of taking back our classrooms with all of you here in Loudoun County and restoring education freedom to American families. It's amazing to think, after a year of pandemic shutdowns, the fact that our schools are open again is undoubtedly a reason for celebration. It's nice to be getting back to normal. But the last thing America needs is normal in many of our public schools. We need to aim higher, demand better, and put parents back in the driver's seat in American education. Over the past year, Americans have seen politicians and bureaucrats and leaders of teachers' unions leverage the pandemic to secure more money from taxpayers, while lobbying to keep schools closed for many of those very same months. It's important to note that the Trump-Pence administration and our CDC never recommended that schools close. And the truth is, those efforts by governors and by education bureaucrats needlessly exacerbated and prolonged the hardship that students and families faced. But there was a silver lining. Online learning allowed parents, in many cases for the first time, to peek into their child's virtual classroom, where they saw and heard everything their children are being taught. As a result, millions of parents, just like you all here in Loudoun County, are rightly concerned that in many of our schools, the primary mission of public schools is no longer to educate America's youth, but in many cases to indoctrinate our youth into radical left-wing ideology. Well, I don't have to tell anyone here at Patrick Henry College. Patriotic education is essential to the survival of liberty, and we must demand that it's taught in the schools of our nation. In our administration, we created the 1776 Commission so that children would be taught to not just know our history, but cherish our heritage and celebrate all of our heroes of every race and creed and color. Sadly, the Biden administration shut down the 1776 Commission on day one. We view parents as the key to success in your classroom. The Biden administration's Department of Justice views some parents as domestic terror threats. Let me be clear on this point. The federal government has no business investigating parents who speak out at school board meetings. Attorney General Garland should tear up his memo and let parents and local communities debate education reform at the local level. But families here in Virginia are also to be commended for taking on the most egregious example of the radical left's agenda in our local schools, the doctrine known as critical race theory. Under critical race theory, children as young as kindergarten are being taught to be ashamed of their skin color. Science, history, and even math are increasingly taught through a lens of racial grievance. When Terry McAuliffe was governor, the Virginia Department of Education encouraged schools to, quote, embrace critical race theory. And just recently, he said that talking about diversity to kindergartners was as important as your math and English class. Let me be clear on this point. Critical race theory is nothing more than state-sponsored racism, and it should be opposed by every American of every race and creed and color in every school in our land. As my friend Condoleezza Rice said in that important policy forum known as The View just last week, she said she'd like black kids to be completely empowered, to know that they are beautiful in their blackness. And then she added, but in order to do that, we don't have to make white kids feel bad for being white. Critical race theory is founded on the slander that America is a racist nation. But let me say, having served as your vice president, traveled all across this country, cities and towns, large and small, I say with conviction, America is not a racist country. America is the most just, righteous, and inclusive nation the world has ever known, because in America we're one family, one people, one nation under God that strives every day for a more perfect union. And finally, here in Loudoun County, you also experienced what Ellie just spoke of. The tragic consequences that happen when schools prioritize radical left ideology above all else, including the safety of our kids. It breaks my heart to hear what Ellie said. And it angers me to think that those crimes happened because some adults cared more about politics than the well-being of our kids. So let me commend the parents who spoke out at the school board meetings, including this week. Let me commend the students that walked out to protest a school board for their gross negligence and dereliction of duty. And let me say that school board members and anyone responsible for this tragedy and cover-up should resign immediately. You know, last week I heard that President Obama came to Virginia. And he actually said the movement here in Loudoun County was nothing more than, I quote, phony, trumped-up culture war and fake outrage. Well, Mr. President, I can assure you there's nothing phony about parents' concerns about what our kids are learning about America in our schools. And the outrage isn't fake. It's real. And it's grounded in a love for this country and our kids. Now, Terry McAuliffe said famously, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. Well, we believe that parents should be the ultimate authority in education. Nobody cares more about my kids than me. Nobody. And frankly, any politician or bureaucrat who disagrees with that should be fired or never rehired again. You know, what's echoing out of these courageous parents here in Loudoun County is that the American people are fed up with politicians and politically correct bureaucrats telling us we have no role in our children's education, running our schools into the ground. That's probably one of the reasons why homeschooling has tripled since 2019. I mean, 21 states have passed laws expanding parental choice. And here in Loudoun County, I learned on the way here that public school enrollment has now declined for 2 consecutive years. In Fairfax County, more than 10,000 students have chosen to decline to attend the public school, chosen alternatives, while in Fairfax County, homeschooling has doubled. I mean, parents around these parts and around the country are figuring out that President Reagan had it pretty close to right when he said government is not the answer to our problems. Government is the problem. And it's time to end government monopoly of public education in America. You know, in the wake of the closures from the pandemic, politicians telling parents that we have no say, left-wing ideology being taught in our classrooms, and even compromising the safety of our kids. Now, more than ever, we need to give every American parent the right to choose where their children go to school, whether it's public, private, parochial, Christian, or homeschool. The time has come for parental choice in America. In the 1970s, nearly 2/3 of Americans had high confidence in our public school system. Now that number is reversed. 2/3 of our country have low confidence in public education. And so empowering parents to choose what's best for their children is an idea whose time has come. I mean, the truth is, when you look at test scores alone, over the past few decades, 12th grade test scores in reading, science, math, geography, and civics have either remained flat or gone down. This year, test scores in reading and math declined for 13-year-olds for the first time ever. And internationally, American students have dropped from 28th to 38th in math since the year 2000. It's incredible. Despite the fact that every education reform that's been passed in most states in the country and endorsed by education bureaucrats has a top-down, centralized, government-controlled approach, we know we need to do the opposite. We know we need to give parents a choice, because when parents have a choice, every child has a chance at success. And I'm proud to report to you that parental choice is on the move all across the country. I've seen it firsthand in my home state of Indiana. When I was governor, we actually doubled the size of the school choice program in the Hoosier State, and we're going to keep on building. And after the Obama-Biden administration shut down the scholarship program for inner-city kids in our nation's capital, I'm proud to report the Trump-Pence administration expanded enrollment in the Washington, D.C. voucher program by as much as 50%, opening doors of opportunities for disadvantaged kids. And with our tax reform a few short years ago, I actually had the privilege of casting the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate that allowed working families to use college saving funds to send their kids to K-12 public, private, parochial, or religious schools. We expanded educational choice on our watch. Because countless studies have shown that parental choice in education works, improves student performance, has higher graduation rates, creates more opportunities for low-income families to get a great start in life. Parents have shown more involvement in their children's education. And it's advanced us toward that vision of a more perfect union with equality for all. The beauty of parental choice in education is that you don't have to solve every conceivable problem on day one. You just get the government out of the way and let the marketplace work with parents making the decisions. If all education funding was given directly to parents, think about it. Schools that consistently fail would go out of business almost overnight, and they'd be replaced by schools that were meeting the demands of parents in that community. Every school would have to make student safety its highest priority, because if given the choice, parents are going to choose the safest school for their kids, right? And schools would compete for top-notch teachers, ensuring that the best teachers make the best salaries. Like every other area of our economy, you'd see innovation, innumerable curriculums, teaching methods that would be devised to meet the diverse needs of various communities all across the country. We'd be focused on performance and achievement and results. Schools that wasted precious instruction time on political brainwashing would fall behind schools that taught the basics. Science, math, literature, civics would thrive. The end result would be a flourishing system of schools, all competing to be the best, continually improving the services they offer in an open, free market driven by parental choice. That's the American way. And it's also the best way to achieve our goal, to ensure that every child has access to the very best education possible, whether it's public, private, parochial, religious, charter, or homeschool. So to every Loudoun County parent here today and to all of you that are looking on, thank you. Thank you for caring so much about your children's education, that you're willing to step forward and let your voice be heard. Make no mistake about it, you're making a difference for your kids. With families here in Loudoun County, standing up for educational excellence and accountability, you are making a difference in the life of the nation. In the wake of this pandemic, shuttered schools, and all the hardship of the last year, a movement was minted across America, but it was given voice here in Loudoun County because of the courage of the families that put their kids first. And it is a movement. And this is a moment in the life of our nation when we can choose educational freedom. After a year and a half of hardship, we can seize this moment. Parents having a much greater understanding and appreciation for how important it is for them to be able to choose where their children go to school. I just want to urge you on. And I'm absolutely convinced that if we advance these reforms, grounded in educational freedom, we'll teach our children to love our country. They'll learn in schools that their parents know is best for them, for their moral, spiritual, and intellectual development. And that if we train up a child in the way he should go, he'll not depart from it when they're old. And our nation will be stronger for it. Our families, our communities will be strengthened, and our children's futures will be brighter than ever before. So thank you, Loudoun County. Thank you for your leadership, for your inspiring example and your passion. You've reminded America that we have a choice. We have a chance to choose education that puts parents and students first, that promotes excellence and love of country, And Virginians have a choice. So for our children, our communities, and our nation, make your choice, Virginia. Let's choose educational freedom for this generation and the next. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.